Hi, my name is Jacob Fixel. I'm a PhD student at the Johns Hopkins University Department of Biostatistics, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install Git on your Mac and get it connected with your GitHub so that you're able to edit and clone and push files to GitHub. So we're already assuming that you've made a GitHub account and that you've already downloaded our studio. So to start out, we're going to enter into our studio and we're going to go to Tools and click on Shell. So the shell is basically a way to enter in commands and navigate around your computer without actually using the mouse. This can also be accessed by going to Finder, Applications, Utilities, and the Terminal. So to see if we have Git installed, which you should in a new Mac, we're going to do which Git, and that shows us that Git is installed, and then Git version. Note there's two dashes before the version. And so it's version 2.11.0. Some of you might get a pop-up message asking you to install X tools or command line developer tools, and we do recommend that you install this. So great, we have this set up, and so now we're going to introduce ourselves to Git. And so this is actually, we're following the guide, Happy Git with R by Jenny Bryan. And so if you go to happygitwithr.com, you can follow along with us. So we're already in the shell right here. And we're going to enter our username, our email, and we're just going to make sure that it works with list. So go back into the shell. We're going to do git config global user dot name. And actually, we're doing this on Dr. Leah Jager's computer. She just got a new Mac, and we're taking advantage of this by showing you what a Git setup would look like if you've never set it up on your computer before. And so we're going to enter Leah Jager. And then we're going to enter the email. So git config --global user.email. And Leah's email is lrjaeger@gmail.com. And finally, we're going to end with git config global list. Perfect. So we have that set up, and now we're going to actually see if we can connect with GitHub. So we're going to go, and this is chapter 10 in Happy Git with R. So we're going to create a new repository, and don't worry if you are not familiar with the lingo of what a repository and everything is. If you're able to follow this guide and not have any errors, we'll explain all of this in more depth later. So new repository, and we're going to call this test_repository. And we are going to initialize this with a readme, and we're going to create the repository. Okay, perfect. So now this repository is on GitHub, which is something similar to Dropbox. It's a remote repository. This is not actually on our computer yet, so we're going to want to get this into our computer so we can edit it. So we're going to push this green clone or download button and copy this link to our keyboard. And we're going to go back to the terminal. So in our terminal, it's essentially navigating around our Finder. Finder, we have files, our folders here, and so we're doing the same. So you can see which directory we are at in the terminal by entering pwd. We're just in the main user directory, and so we're going to make a temporary directory. So to do this, you type mkdir tmp, and we're going to cd into tmp. That's essentially entering the directory or the folder. And now all we have to do to get this repository onto our computer is to type git clone, and now we're going to paste this. With Macs, the shortcut for pasting is Command V. And that's done. Perfect. So now if you type ls, you see that there is a test repository on there, which we did not have before. So we're going to cd into temp repository. Oops, I typed that wrong. Cd test repository. And if we type ls again, we see that there's that readme. And so we're going to make a change to this readme, and we are going to get this change back up onto GitHub. So all you have to do to do that is echo testing changes, and the double right arrow, all caps, readme.md. The .md is lowercase, obviously. And we can now do git status, and that shows that we've modified our readme file. And what we're going to do is we're going to make these changes locally and then get them back onto GitHub as git add -uppercase a git commit -m my first commit. And we see that we changed our file, and now git push. And now you see that it's prompting us for our username, so that's LR Jaeger, and the password, which I will not share with you guys, so you cannot get into Dr. Jaeger's GitHub. Okay, it says that it's pushed. And now we're just going to make sure that it's made its way onto GitHub, so we're going to refresh this page. Now you see there's 2 commits, and my first commit, we can go into README, and there's our text testing the changes. All right, perfect. But you can imagine that every time, if you have a project, you're making lots of changes, maybe you have a complicated password, you don't want to be entering your username and password every time that you make a change. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up something called SSH keys. And so this is a way to connect to GitHub without entering your username and password every single time. So let's go back into the terminal, and we're going to first type cd, so now we type pwd, we are back in the home folder, and now we're going to see if there are already existing SSH keys. If you've never done this before, don't remember doing this before, you probably don't have SSH keys, but let's just check anyways. So you type ls-al /.ssh. So that doesn't exist, and so we are going to set up SSH keys. I do want to point out that you can do this either from the shell, the terminal, or from GitHub, or from RStudio, sorry. We're going to do this from the shell, but if you want to do this in RStudio, you can go into RStudio, Preferences, and create the RSA key from the SSH RSA key. This is also following chapter 12 in Happy Git with R, and in section 12.3 you can follow a link that will show you how to do this within RStudio. But we're going to follow the instructions to do this within the shell. So let's go back to the terminal. And so we're going to just follow the instructions here. SSH-keygen-t RSA B4096, and then our email. So lrjaeger@gmail.com. And it looks like there is an error because I missed this -c, so let's do this again. SSH keygen -t RSA B4096 C lrjaeger@gmail.com. Enter the file. I'm just going to press enter. I'm not going to do anything here. And it's going to enter a passphrase. I'm also going to keep this empty. If you want your SSH key to be more secure, feel free to enter something that you will actually remember in the future. Okay, perfect. We have gotten this set up. It looks exactly like the output that we should have gotten. And we're going to go to section 12.4.2 and make sure that it's enabled, eval, quotations, $SSH agent S. Perfect. And now we're going to add the SSH key, SSH add. And it's added. Perfect. Now all we have to do is provide the public key to GitHub. So again, we're just going to copy these commands from section 12.4.3. We're on a Mac, so pb copy All right. So now we're going to go back into our GitHub and we're going to go to settings, SSH, and CPG keys. And I believe that we want to enter, click new SSH key. And we're going to call this personal MacBook. And then we are just going to paste the key in the field. Remember, with Max, Command V will paste it, and we're going to add our SSH key. All right, great. So now let's see if we can push, make a change and push without having to enter our password again. So we are going to go back to our repo. So remember, right now we're in lrjaeger, but we need to go to temp test repository. And I just want to say I auto-completed that by typing test, and then I hit tab, and it finished that for me. So it's a nice shortcut. If you have a long repository name, you can enter tab, and it should auto-complete for you. So we're going to go echo testing SSH, and we're going to put this into our README, and git status to show that we've modified this again, and we're going to do git add a, git commit m, testing if SSH works, and git push. And now we didn't have to enter our password. So you should be set up to go for using GitHub. In our next video, we'll show you how to do this within our studio if you don't feel as comfortable using the shell or the command line. So hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment or feel free to contact us. Thank you.